Buenos días, mi nombre es Jim Yong Kim y yo soy el presidente del colegio de Dartmouth. Estoy aquí con Angelo Carino, un estudiante de New Rochelle, de Nueva York, y estamos hablando de su experiencia aquí en Dartmouth College ya como estudiante. Buenos días, Anthony.
Buenos días, mucho gusto.
Tell me, what's been the most meaningful thing for you as a student here in Dartmouth?
Since the very beginning, I've been very involved with diversity and trying to build bridges amongst different communities on campus. I'm from a community that is strictly Latino and specific Mexicano, and when I came here, I saw a lot of different communities and different people that I wanted to get to know. I was never uncomfortable with that. I thought it was a great challenge. So I immediately joined Student Assembly, which is a very mainstream, popular organization. And since then, I've chaired the Diversity and Community Affairs Committee. And we've worked on several very important projects, such as the Minority Faculty Retention Report, as well as a Pangea initiative, which was created by my fraternity, I think about 5 years back. And I'm a member of La Unidad Latina Lambda Upsilon Lambda Fraternity Incorporated, which is Latino fraternity on campus. But Pangea is an initiative to build bridges amongst different communities, like I had said, where you take one group that has never, ever done anything with another group. For example, the Latino American House, LILACS, Latin American, Latino, and Caribbean Studies House, where we worked with a fraternity and threw a party together. So that's something that's been very important to me. And through my fraternity as well, we're able to work with so many different communities on campus to do service organizations, as well as throw parties sometimes. And I think discussion is very important. We've had one very important discussion that had a very large turnout, was talking about what it means to be part of a campus at large and also retain some of your individualism. So that was very successful, and we held it in a neutral location, not a location where, let's say, Latinos usually go, or the white students usually go, the black students. We did it in Collis, and a very heavy turnout. It was a beautiful discussion. So I think those types of things are very important to this campus.
So what would you advise a new student to take advantage of here at Dartmouth College?
I think this might be a bit of general information, but definitely take advantage of the off-campus programs. I did an LSA, a language study abroad, in Puebla, Mexico, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life, outside of a few different terms on this campus that were absolutely amazing. But the foreign study programs, the exchange programs, the transfer terms, they're an opportunity to learn a different walk of life. Because at Dartmouth, you can experience everything, but you can't experience like if you experienced it where someone actually lives, in their household, in the household of a Latina, or in Nicaragua, in Spain, in Madrid, in Buenos Aires, or other schools in Lyon, Paris, also the French programs, the Italian programs. It takes you out of your comfort zone, but the lesson that you learn is much more valuable. So off-campus programs, I would definitely take advantage of. And even the HOP brings world-class stars right to our doorsteps. And we pay $5 as students to see Meryl Streep, Johnny Depp, Bacon, Kevin. So performances, orchestras. We had a beautiful orchestra from Harlem recently. These opportunities are very rare, and we have them right here for us, just waiting for us. And it makes me sad sometimes when I hear that someone so wonderful is coming and someone couldn't take an hour out of their day to experience that.
And so you've been a leader in the Latino community. And tell me about your role as a leader in the Latino community, and what would you tell other Latinos who are thinking about maybe coming to Dartmouth College?
Okay. So I would first say that, ¿qué significa ser Latino? What does it mean to be a Latino? For many people, it's a term just to generalize them, but I think it's a very important term. I don't think it's detrimental. As some people argue when you take a Latin American Latino Studies class, some professors think that it should be abolished and you should mark your race, or your ethnicity rather. So I think it's a very important term when you come to a campus where you have Dominicanos and Mexicanos and Puerto Ricanos, and you have everyone comes together, but there's not enough for me to bond with my Mexican counterparts and there's not enough Dominicans to form these small cultural organizations. So the term Latino is what we use to identify ourselves and brings us together. We share common experiences, though they're not exactly the same, but we have commonalities. Y no necesitan hablar en español. Los clubs no son en español, son en inglés, y las clases por la mayoría son en inglés. So the clubs are in English, and the organizations, the classes, they're in English, and we accept everybody. We accept people that don't know Spanish. We accept people that speak fluent Spanish, and we work to combine those two. I'm vice president of La Alianza Latina, and when we hold meetings, if you're with your friends and we are in the house, the Latin American house, and you want to talk in Spanish, that's wonderful. When we hold our meeting, we hold it in English so to accommodate everybody, because that's what it's about. And I think being a leader in the community means knowing how to work with all these different types of people and bringing them together, because unification and having cohesion is very important for the functioning of our community.
Have you found that sense of cohesion among Latinos here?
Yes. Yeah. We have our physical plant that we work out of. See, there's 2 houses on campus, and sometimes people get confused. La Casa is the Spanish language department house. It's actually Spanish and Portuguese. And in that house, that's the language they speak, and it's about the program. In Lilacs, the Latin American, Latino, and Caribbean Studies house, it's about culture and identity. And we celebrate over food and watching novelas and sharing our experiences, our backgrounds. There's a lot of us from New York, and there's a lot of us from California, and there's a lot of us from Texas, and we all work together, and we have our common complaints, like maybe this weather's too cold, or I'm not used to, and we bond over that. And for a long time, or not for a long time, for a short time, we didn't have a Latino advisor, and now we do, and she's an amazing, wonderful woman, Jennifer Matos. But before that, it was our duty to come together and keep our community strong. And it was challenging, but we did it because of our connections.
That's wonderful. What are the resources that you found around campus that have been particularly useful? And how have you accessed them, and what would you tell other students?
Okay. So I will say, if I continue to go off the bit of the minority trail, sometimes it can be difficult to, everyone is just as intelligent. That's why we're all here. But a lot of us are first-generation college students, and a lot of us don't have the guidance back home and don't know how to transition into the school and are too afraid to ask. Asking questions and asking the right people has been the most important. I didn't know my freshman year, and I struggled with lots of things, but now I know, and I'm always there as a voice of advice to incoming students, especially in my community. I try to guide them. I'm part of a big SIB program. But my recommendations are always seek out the Academic Skills Center. They're at Flora of Collis. Get yourself a tutor. Be in a study group. Meet with Carl Toom and have him, direct you one-on-one how you can better study habits, sleeping habits, how eating affects how you're going to think. Just all these things to better prepare yourself, because you can get lost in the crazy world that is the little Dartmouth bubble, but you need to be able to focus, and sometimes we need help with that. So the Academic Skills Center has been very important. And I think that the Office of Pluralism and Leadership, which is where the Latina advisor functions out of, though we didn't have one at one time, it's always been a very important resource for our community and many other communities, the Asian community, the Black community, LGBTQ community. They all have advisors, and when our advisor wasn't present, we went to Nora Yasamora, who is the Asian advisor. And they've always been available to show us how to steer ourselves once we get to college. When we don't know who to ask or what to ask, they're the ones with the answers. And the deans are wonderful, and I've gone to my dean many times, but sometimes they can't necessarily address the specific issue that I have because it's very ethnic or it's very particular to my background, or not understanding why something is done a certain way, and that's usually where Opal is able to step in.
So, Angelo, what has Dartmouth taught you about you and your life, and how has that prepared you for thinking about what you're going to do once you leave here?
The thinking is probably the most important thing that I've learned here. My life was very very structured before Dartmouth, not to say that it's unstructured now, but it was too structured. And my journey here is a very interesting one that it wasn't planned, and that's why I say it's interesting. I wanted to go to another school that I applied early decision to, and it had a business program, and I wanted to do the business program as my undergraduate focus. And I didn't get in, and I thank every day that I didn't, honestly. Every day I think I'm so glad that I wasn't accepted to that program, because my life would be this one boring ritual that I'm not ready for. And since I came to Dartmouth, it's been the complete opposite. Every day is a new experience, and I'm involved with so much on campus that I can't imagine I would have been able to be on a different campus. And the opportunities, the experiences, the learning lessons has taught me so much about myself, in the sense that I don't need to have a perfect plan set out for myself at this point. And I still want to do business, but what I want to do has changed, because I have so many more resources now, and I've taken classes in the Spanish department, I've taken classes in the religion department, I've taken classes in the philosophy department. I have much more tools to think. I've also taken my economics. I've done finance, I've done international relations. So I know how to use those tools, but I also know so much more about just how to be a human being and function in the real world. And when I step out into the business world, I will not necessarily be as prepared with a rigid finance knowledge, but I'll know how to handle myself. I think that's the most important thing that I've taken from Dartmouth and for my future.
¿Cómo es el ambiente para los estudiantes latinos aquí en Hanover, New Hampshire? Es un lugar que no existen otros latinos, y también no existen muchos restaurantes latinos y otras cositas. Por eso es un ambiente en que los estudiantes latinos pueden adaptar.
Sí, claro, porque muchos estudiantes latinas son de ciudades, y como yo, de Nueva York o Chicago, y quieran cosas que no existen aquí, como la comida. La comida es importante, sí, pero hay gusanos en Hanover, no es lo mismo. Pero, cuando yo necesito algo de mi cultura, como cuando en Nueva York, yo voy a Nueva York o a Boston. Y no es difícil, hay autobús y tren, pero un ejemplo es que quiero to cut my hair, cortar mi cabello, I guess this is very New York, but I like to get a line up, okay, and a fade. Y aquí no existe. Hay the barber shops, pero no pueden hacerlo. Y la comida, podemos cocinar juntos, y a muchas veces, muchas veces cocinamos en la casa, en Lilac's house. Siempre estamos hablando en español para ser más cómodos, y no es difícil de adaptar aquí, pero los estudiantes necesitan tener una mente muy open, ready to adjust and be willing to take on new things. And I'm sorry, normalmente hablo en Spanglish, so I'm going to do it now too.
It's fine.
See, so how you approach these situations, you need to be willing to put yourself out there, and I think that's something fair to ask of the students that come here. It's not home for us.
How do you say applicants in Spanish? Do you know?
Aplicantes.
Aplicantes. Sí. Yo tengo un comprometido a todos los estudiantes, especialmente los estudiantes latinos, y también vamos a trabajar muy fuerte para crear un ambiente cómodo para todos los estudiantes, especialmente los que hablan español y de América Latina y de otros países en el mundo.
Sí. Y muy bonito tu español. I was just going to say, puedo decir algo que estoy seguro que el presidente Kim va a hacer estas cosas.